Tonight on First at 9, this Monday, the 1st of July 2024. Demise. Veteran politician, former opposition leader and leader of the Lanka Tamil Arasukatchi, R. Sambandhan passes away. Final rites to be performed on Sunday. Regulate. All citizens must come together to implement law and order in the country, says former Chief Justice.
Checking the law and order, so it is our duty and the duty of civil society, politicians and all others.
Law practitioners call for proper legislation to safeguard citizens from cyber crimes.
There must be special high court or even a magistrate court seat.
Special announcement. President Ranil Wickremesinghe to address the parliament tomorrow on debt restructuring agreements. New appointment. World Bank Group appoints new country manager for Sri Lanka.
ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දෙනු සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟමැති ෆාමසියෙන් ලබාගත හැක.
මේ වෙලාවේ රනිල් තමයි.
This is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to Sri Lanka's premier primetime English news bulletin, Derana First at 9. I'm Tharindu Mahendra and in your top story tonight. Former leader of the opposition and leader of the Lanka Tamil Arasukatchi, R. Sambandhan, passed away late last night at the age of 91. Sambandhan was a decisive figure in Sri Lanka's Tamil national politics and a vocal advocate for the rights of the country's Tamil community. The late ITAC leader's remains are currently lying in Colombo and they will be taken to his hometown in Trincomalee on Sunday, where his final rites will be performed. Rajavarothiam Sambandhan was born in Trincomalee on the 5th of February 1933. Following his school education, Sambandhan joined the Ceylon Law College and entered the Sri Lankan bar as an attorney at law. He began his political career by joining the Lanka Tamil Arasukatchi in 1956. Sambandhan first entered Parliament in 1977, representing Trincomalee as a member of the Tamil United Liberation Front. He served as a Member of Parliament for the Trincomalee district from 1977 to 1983, again from 1997 to 2000, and finally from 2001 until his passing. From 2015 to 2018, Sambandhan served as the 14th leader of the opposition. During his time in office, Sambandhan was a vocal advocate for the rights of Sri Lanka's Tamil community. The late parliamentarian, who was receiving care at a private hospital in Colombo, passed away late last night at the age of 91. Speaking to the media, parliamentarian of the Lanka Tamil Arasukatchi M.A. Sumanthiran announced plans for the late opposition leader's final rites.
The remains will lie at the funeral parlour throughout tomorrow. On Wednesday evening, the remains will be taken to the parliament. After that, they will be taken to his electoral district of Trincomalee. We expect the final rites to take place on Sunday. A number of Sri Lankan and world leaders expressed condolences over Sambandhan's passing. President Ranil Wickremesinghe in his message highlighted that as a national leader, Sambandhan worked tirelessly to bridge the divisions in our country. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena meanwhile added that the late TNA leader was a prudent public representative of the highest value. Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa hailed the late parliamentarian's dedication to equal rights for all Sri Lankans as a beacon of hope. While conveying his sympathies, former President Mahinda Rajapaksa added that Sambandhan's demise is a great loss to the Sri Lankan political fraternity. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, while commending Sambandhan's relentless pursuit of a life of peace, security, equality, justice and dignity for the Tamil nationals of Sri Lanka, added that he will always cherish fond memories of meetings with the late TNA leader.
Crunchy goodness for hunger on the go.
Former chairman of the Human Rights Commission of Sri Lanka and human rights activist Dr. Pratibha Mahanamaheva highlighted deficiencies in Sri Lanka's legal system concerning the implementation of laws within the ICT and technology sectors. Speaking at an event in Colombo yesterday, Mahanamaheva emphasized the urgent need for dedicated court to adjudicate technology-related cases.
He underscored that existing laws are antiquated and the legal process is excessively sluggish in terms of both implementation and investigation of legal matters. The 12th volume of the Foreign Policy Perspectives on Law and Order was launched and presented to former Chief Justice Priyasath Depp yesterday at the Sri Lanka Foundation Institute. The volume on law and order consists of 50 contributing articles from renowned academics. During the event, the Ambassadors Forum honoured Prashantalal Dialvis, Dr. Dayantha Jayasuriya, Saman Ataudhetty, Shanmuganathan Bhagirathan, Godfrey Kurei, Chaminda Karunatilaka and the Spark College of Skill Development with awards for their exceptional contributions towards society.
Law and order is in the lowest ebb in Sri Lanka, unfortunately. It is duty that we as professionals to embark on the assisting the society in some way. What we could do is we do it academically, and we took steps to publish this volume on law and order, which contains 50 chapters.
Drugs, then sexual violence and money laundering, those are the things immediately threaten the law and order. So it is our duty and the duty of civil society, politicians and all others to actively participate and to support, to suppress these crimes. Actually, we are in a way silent spectators to that. We are also in a way, our generation is also responsible for the present setup. So actually, generation must think about the future generation, but we are going to give it to the next generation. So whether have we perform our task? That is the question, it is poor. We blame others, but we also in a way, by our silence or inaction.
Per month, 5,600 Facebook violations are there, where they could report. Even my Facebook also hacked. So we have to be very careful with this IT sector. Technology is increasing very fast, but the laws are a little bit dragging. And also the court cases, at least there must be some like Colombo Commercial High Court, there must be special high court or even a magistrate court to see. So if you see last year, privacy violations, how many violations are there? Facebook, social media. So people innocent, they go and complain only. But the implementation part and the investigation part is like very, very slow.
Let us look at Sri Lanka's legal system. We have talked now for 5-6 years on digitizing the court system, but still, unfortunately, we are basically at naught. We have all of this technology with us, but yet, ladies and gentlemen, we are not making use of it. We have opportunity to provide legal information accessibility. Those who do not have access can use AI-driven tools to obtain that information. We have the legal processes can be streamlined. Things which are done manually, costs will come down, obviously. The cost of labor will come down. There will be a proactive approach, and then, of course, overall, the beneficiaries will be the citizens of Sri Lanka.
Horizon Campus 2024 intake. Register now.
Now the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation, Lanka IOC and Sinopec Energy revised the prices of their petroleum products effective from yesterday. However, long queues were observed in front of some filling stations this morning as people claim that 92-octane petrol, the price of which was reduced last night, is not available in certain filling stations. Meanwhile, the National Transport Commission announced that bus fares will be reduced by 5.07% from midnight tonight, with the minimum fare expected to be reduced by 2 rupees to 28 rupees. State fuel supplier Ceylon Petroleum Corporation announced the revision of its fuel prices effective from midnight yesterday. According to the latest price revision, the price of 92-octane petrol was reduced by 11 rupees to 344 rupees per litre, while a litre of 95-octane petrol came down by 41 rupees to 379 rupees. The price of super diesel was slashed by 22 rupees, bringing its new retail price to 355 rupees per litre. However, Sipetco announced that prices of auto diesel and kerosene will remain unchanged. Meanwhile, Lanka Indian Oil Corporation and Sinopec also revised their fuel prices in line with Sipetco. Against this backdrop, long queues were observed in front of some filling stations this morning as people claim that 92-octane petrol, the price of which was reduced last night, is not available in certain filling stations. Despite the downward fuel price revision, three-wheeler and school transport service associations assure that their fares will remain unchanged.
Meanwhile, with the fuel price revision, the National Transport Commission announced that bus fares will be reduced by 5.07% from midnight to night. The minimum fare has been reduced by 2 rupees to 28 rupees. Additionally, the fare, which was previously 38 rupees, will come down to 36 rupees, while the 50 rupee fare will be reduced to 47 rupees and the 61 rupee fare will be slashed to 58 rupees. The revision comes as part of the pricing formula of the national policy on bus fares.
This decision was taken after discussions with private bus operators and Secretary to the Ministry of Transport and Highways. All parties are in favour of this decision. A few days ago, private bus operators announced that they had agreed to slash bus fares. We request the public to carry the exact fare. Then they will be able to acquire the benefit of the bus fare revisions.
Private bus owners associations also expressed their views on the matter. Now, opposition leader Sajith Premadasa says the Samagi Jana Balawegaya is the only party that actively campaigned to protect cultural and religious rights of Sri Lanka's Islamic community. Speaking at an event in Beruwala, he went on to say that the Sri Lankan identity is the country's strength and added that all communities must join forces in order to overcome the obstacles the nation's path towards stability. The 276th edition of the Sakwila program was held at the Zam Refai Hajiar Mahavidyalaya in Beruwala under the patronage of opposition leader Sajith Premadasa.
We should not deceive our citizens. At the moment, our country has domestic and foreign debt amounts to nearly $100 billion. How can we get out of this debt trap? When entering into agreements on behalf of the country, the government must think of the country's future, not their political longevity. Do not play with the livelihoods of citizens. In order to overcome these challenges, everyone must join forces. More importantly, everyone must make sacrifices. Our Sri Lankan identity is our victory. We never follow the path of racism. Not a single Sinhalese leader raised their voices for the Muslim community. The SJB is the only party that actively campaigned for the Islamic community's cultural and religious rights.
Meanwhile, leader of the National People's Power, Anurukumara Disanayake, says his party will take power away from the corrupt elite and hand it over to the young generation. Addressing a gathering in Kakirava, he went on to say that under the NPP's leadership, Sri Lanka's youth will be provided with new economic opportunities.
The Anuradhapura District Youth Conference of National People's Power was held in Kakirava under the patronage of party leader Anurukumara Disanayake.
Although the country remains bankrupt, the government has been making statements about a so-called good news. All they have done is to postpone debt repayments. They are once again trying to ravage people's dreams through lies and deception. They cannot develop this country. The country has to be protected, not sold off. This journey will only end when the National People's Power secures victory.
We will create a resurgence of small and medium-scale businesses. Instead of seeking government jobs, the country's youth will begin to think about becoming entrepreneurs. However, they do not possess sufficient capital to become entrepreneurs. Under the leadership of National People's Power, we will establish a new development bank which will provide initial capital without collateral. We will create new economic opportunities for the youth. For a long time, the country's political authority destroyed the future of the youth. We will take power away from the corrupt elite. However, we will not hand it over to our children. We are ready to hand over the power to the young generation in front of us.
Now, the General Secretary of the Sri Lanka Podu Jana Peramuna, Sagara Karyawazam, is of the view that it is unfair to compare leaders who provided solutions to issues that lasted for 2 months with the leaders who solved the major issues that prevailed in the country for more than 3 decades. Addressing a gathering, Karyavasam assured that the SLPP will appoint a leader capable of making Sri Lanka a debt-free nation.
The Mirigama Constituency Conference of Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna was held yesterday.
Fuel and gas queues as well as power cuts only lasted for 2 months. It is a distortion of the truth to compare leaders who provided solutions to these issues that lasted for 2 months with the leaders who solved the major issues of this country for 30 years. We should not let anyone create such distortions in this country. We should take over this country once again before they sell it off. Further, we should not let this country be an atheist nation. Similarly, we should not give power to parties led by atheist leaders. Also, leaders who attempt to sell this country cannot be allowed to gain power. We will bring a leader who is able to develop the country's economy and make Sri Lanka a debt-free nation.
We appointed the president. It was a long-term plan of the Rajapakshas. Though our political camp was not compatible with them, we did not destabilize the country. We could have refrained from interfering in any matter and let the country be ruined. Or else we could have joined the opposition. Our contract is almost coming to an end. It is currently being decided whether we should renew it or not. However, if we are renewing this deal, our nationality should ensure state assets as well as the identity of our party, and the rights of the left wing must be secured. The suspect of the CBSL scam should be arrested. We are still of the view that our previous mistakes should be rectified.
Now, a Sri Lankan fisherman who was critically ill after consuming an unknown liquid from a bottle found while at sea was received by the Sri Lankan Navy this morning at the Hambantota port. The fisherman was with 5 others who died while at sea after consuming the liquid. The sole survivor of the Sri Lankan multi-day fishing trawler named Devon 5 was brought to Sri Lanka by a Singaporean merchant vessel named KV Kota Kamil. He is now being treated at the Hambantota District General Hospital for his injuries.
Sri Lanka Navy confirmed the fisherman was transferred to the Hambantota District General Hospital and his condition is not critical. 6 Sri Lankan fishermen aboard the multi-day fishing trawler Devon 5, who set out to sea on Friday, had reportedly consumed an unknown liquid from a bottle floating in the ocean, believing it to be a bottle of liquor. 4 of the fishermen lost their lives shortly after, while the 2 remaining fishermen were rescued by a Singaporean merchant vessel named MV Kota Kamil. But one of the 2 fishermen who were rescued died aboard the merchant vessel. Later, Sri Lanka Navy Advanced Offshore Patrol vessel Vijay Bahu repatriated to Sri Lanka the sole survivor of the Devon 5 multi-day fishing trawler after receiving him from the Singaporean merchant vessel last evening.
The medical team of the Vijay Bahu treated the fisherman and managed to bring him to the Hambantota harbour, and the Navy transferred the fisherman to the hospital while the body of the other was handed over to the relevant authorities.
Star dishwasher Dali Hell Indul Pahasuwen Sede. Star dishwasher Magic Tub එක.
Welcome back. Now, the Committee on Public Finance has granted its approval for the Telecommunications Amendment Bill for the purpose of amending the Sri Lanka Telecommunications Act. The Sri Lanka Telecommunications Amendment Bill was considered when the committee met, headed by Dr. Harsha De Silva, in Parliament recently.
The Speaker recently announced the determination of the Supreme Court regarding the petition filed against the Telecommunication Bill submitted by the Minister of Technology to Parliament on 10th May 2024 to amend the Sri Lanka Telecommunication Act No. 25 of 1991. Accordingly, the officials who were present stated that respecting the decision of the Supreme Court, they will take measures to submit all necessary amendments to the bill. The officials also stated that this bill was prepared after extensive discussions with all stakeholders in the telecommunications sector in accordance with the accepted international standards. It was also disclosed that the mechanism will be introduced under a competitive system to provide telecommunications frequencies.
Now, senior analyst of Capital Alliance, Dilushka Dimel, joins us now with a few thoughts to round off our Markets in Review segment for the week.
During the trading week ending the 29th of June 2024, the benchmark ASPI further declined to 12,145, down 0.85% compared to the previous trading week, while the S&P 20 also followed this trend, declining by 0.6% to settle at 3,589. However, the total market turnover for the week was recorded at 10.4 billion rupees, a 56.6% increase compared to the previous week. This was mainly driven by a surge in domestic purchases, although a decline was observed in foreign participation. Moving on to the last week's Treasury bill auction, yields further increased with 3-month, 6-month and 12-month yields increasing by 68, 38 and 41 basis points respectively. At the Treasury bond auction, rupees 75 billion worth of 3-year and 8-year bonds were issued for the first time. And from the international front, the S&P 500 saw a 0.1% decline, wrapping up its worst week since March 2020.
Now let's take a look at the rupee exchange rate for the day. Now, Jevrok Sargsyan has been appointed as the World Bank Group's country manager for Sri Lanka with effect from today. The World Bank, issuing a statement, said that this newly created position will provide a single point of contact for access to the full breadth of the World Bank Group's products and services.
Jevrok Sargsyan, an Armenian national, joined the World Bank in 2000, bringing over 2 decades of diverse experience to the role. Issuing a statement, Sargsyan said his priority is to strengthen the dynamic collaboration among the World Bank Group institutions in Sri Lanka to improve the speed and make a better partner to the government, the private sector. Sargsyan has served as the country manager and manager of operations in Europe, Central Asia and East Asia, as well as program manager for climate finance and as global lead for clean energy.
Welcome back. Now, President Ranil Wickremesinghe is expected to make a special statement in Parliament tomorrow regarding debt treatment agreements reached with bilateral credit holders. The statement will be delivered in lieu of the debate on debt restructuring. The debate on the agreement which Sri Lanka has signed with the creditor nations on the debt restructuring process, which was to begin in Parliament tomorrow, was postponed. Also, it has been decided not to hold sessions on Wednesday as a mark of respect to the late TNA MP R. Sampanthan.
During a public rally yesterday, President Ranil Wickremesinghe announced that the chairman of the Committee on Public Finance, Dr. Harsha De Silva, was informed to look into the agreements related to debt restructuring to hold a debate in Parliament.
Discussions are continuing successfully. We expect to conclude those discussions by next week. Following its conclusion, we will have an agreement. I informed the chairman of the Committee on Public Finance, Dr. Harsha De Silva, to analyze these agreements and enter into discussions. I informed him that we should focus on elections following the conclusion of those discussions.
However, addressing a news briefing today, Dr. Harsha De Silva said that he would not agree to hold a debate without the full agreement.
We need
the proposal. As chairman of the Committee on Public Finance, I cannot accept or refute a proposal without actually considering it. I cannot accept something that I have no idea about. The President called me in the evening to question as to why the COPF cannot be convened. I asked him to look at this issue from my perspective. I asked him if our roles have changed, if he will be able to act in Parliament per the request of his party members. He understood what I meant. He said the relevant agreement cannot be presented to the Parliament as it is required to protect the confidentiality of the agreement. He further said we have to reach a final agreement following the discussions held with foreign bondholders as they are not willing to reveal this to the public. If this is the case, I told him that we cannot debate on the matter in Parliament. The President, however, agreed with me during the phone call.
Accordingly, President Ranil Wickremesinghe is scheduled to deliver a statement in Parliament tomorrow on the implementation of the debt restructuring agreements. As such, the debate and vote on the agreements have been postponed.
Welcome back. Now you join us with international news. The US Supreme Court today found that Donald Trump cannot be prosecuted for official actions taken as president, but can for private acts in a landmark ruling recognizing the first time any form of presidential immunity from prosecution. The justices, in a 6-3 ruling written by Chief Justice John Roberts, threw out a lower court's decision rejecting Trump's claim of immunity from criminal charges involving his efforts to undo his 2020 election losses to Joe Biden. The 6 conservative justices were in the majority. Its 3 liberal dissented. The court found Trump was absolutely immune for conversations with the Justice Department officials, but returned the case to the lower court to determine whether Trump has immunity for the other 3 categories. The ruling marked the first time since the nation's 18th century founding that the Supreme Court has declared that former presidents may be shielded from criminal charges in any instance. And with that, we wrap up tonight's edition of First at 9. We'll join you tomorrow at the same time. Thank you. Have a good night.